Good morning. Let me know, please, if the lighting is okay and if the quality of the video is okay. I meant to use my phone as a camera, but something didn't work quite all right, so we're gonna use my little camera from my laptop. We're not equipped for professional blogging, live streaming. All right, thank you, Francesca. I'm gonna wait a few minutes. As usually, I'm logging in, 3 minutes now earlier to talk to you about life. And we're gonna start at 11 o'clock. If you haven't already, go get your toilet paper. We're going to review a little bit and talk about it further. And today we're probably going to talk about lead and follow, as well as timing. All right, so just to remind you all, toilet paper, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about that toilet paper technique a little bit more and the reasons behind it. However, today we're going to talk about lead and follow, and perhaps we're going to talk about timing. So give me a couple of more minutes, just a few more people to get in, and we're gonna go from there. There. Welcome to a partial view of my living room. All right, guys. So while in America here in dancing, I took lessons with a lot of coaches. A few of them really influenced me. One of them being Glennis D, my favorite coach. Glennis is originally from England. Amazing person, amazing coach and trainer. I learned so much. She was our main coach, so to speak, with Julia. Another one was Luca Baricchi. Luca, unfortunately, I would say we met way too late in our career, but I learned he changed my life as well. In another one, those three would have been Paul Holmes. Paul passed away a few months ago. He was only in his early 60s. Maybe he was 61, I'm not sure. Quite sad, very unexpectedly. Paul was amazing. He taught me so much, and he was originally from England. So today we might talk a little bit about what I learned from him. When you come to this country, you come and you don't speak the language. Perhaps you have some knowledge, but the words wouldn't come up in your mind what you want to tell people. So yeah, Paul put it in a nutshell. He told me how to explain this to people. One of the things would have been this center balance and that timing that's so important for us when we dance. So yeah, so just a quick recap. One of the reasons we're using this toilet paper, obviously one of them is to train your muscles to be in position. All right. I want my arm as a lady dancer to never be lower than the shoulder. We talked about that. We want the head. We want the head to be tilted at 11 o'clock so you can train it. So if you're going to be dancing in that position, Here's your elbow, here's your arms, walk. Walk around and dance. If you can't do it, there's a reason for it. And most likely you're not using your feet as a suspension and your feet to roll over your feet so that there is invisible weight transfer from foot to foot, right? Okay, another thing that this teaches you is to keep the points of contact with the man consistent. In the beginning, unfortunately, I was using my arms to lead the girl's feet. I wanted her to step somewhere, I wanted her to move there, and as all of us at the beginning, we tend to grab a hold of the girl and push her with our arms to go somewhere. Obviously, this didn't feel well to her. Girls will do the same thing. They would want to take a step forward or backwards to some direction, and then they would hold on to us. So these points of connections would move around and change. Not a good thing. We have, generally speaking, 5 points of connection. Let's review them. I'll do the men's part. If I'm a male dancer, point of connection number 1 would be the hands. Man's left, ladies' right hand. The pressure here, there is no right and wrong. Pretty much like people's handshakes, different strengths. Some go and shake your hand really hard. Some are very light, you hardly feel them. For your couple, you need to find a middle ground. Whatever you do, make sure you don't waste energy on that. There's no need to this is much like a handshake, a normal, average handshake with someone. You make someone feel that I'm there for you. This is connection number 1. Connection number 2 will make the lady's hand on the man's shoulder. Now, again, another thing is that you can be, some people prefer this to be a little firmer. They rest the weight of their arm so that they would feel where the man is. Some people would be very light. Again, there's no right or wrong. We just care how you look and how you dance together. This would be connection number 2. Number 3 will be elbow to elbow. Again, if I'm the on ladies' side, the elbow sometimes connects to the man's elbow. This really depends on the height of the partner. In other words, if the man is tall, of course you'll have connection there. If the man is shorter, ladies, you can't rest your arms down. You should always keep it compact and kind of keep your elbows down if you're social dancing, if you're practicing, if the focus is something else, right? So you don't need to stick your elbows out just whenever. This is really when you compete, when you perform, when you want to show the athleticism in your dancing. So there we go. So you're gonna have this at your shoulder level. So there might be a slight gap. So this is really just an alignment rather than a connection, right? So you have hand, the man's hand, left hand on top of the man's shoulder 2. This is more of an alignment 3. The man's right hand on your back, that's an actual connection. That would be 4. And right in front of right side would be also an alignment, perhaps a connection, and it really depends on the way you're shaped. Perhaps I have a bit of a belly, then I'll feel the connection, and I'll feel it there. Perhaps I'm very gifted, maybe there will be some connection. We don't really dance based on a connection, and we definitely don't look for the same type of connection with every partner. Obviously, we're different people, we come in different sizes. So this is really, I like to think of this as of an alignment. And let the bodies touch like they will, like they normally will. Do not compromise your balance, your vertical line for that. So those 5 points of connection, again, that would be 1, hand 2, elbow 3, man's hand on your shoulder blade 4, right by right side 5. Okay, they need to stay consistent. And there's your reason for why you should hold your arms and train them with the toilet paper, right? Again, if this is social dancing, if you're practicing, if you're working on your leg action, really not important. Really not important all that much, this. I quite often just drop my arms if I'm prioritizing leg action and if I'm doing something else, right? Okay. How about we demonstrate a little bit of this, or at least I do. Let me be the girl, and this is it. This is how we dance. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Right? Great. So, moving on. When we talk about lead and follow, all these 5 points of connection, from a man's perspective, they need to give the girl the same information as to where to go, where to be in general to begin with. The man leads by giving the girl timing as to when to go, direction where to go, if there's any rotation that happens on the compression still on the foot, and when to execute that. Right? When to take the direction, and then the man, believe it or not, follows. And the person that changed me as a male dancer, who encouraged me to do it, and he told me it's okay to follow the girl, because that's what we do as men. We lead count 1. Let's say we're doing waltz. 2 and 3, we say belongs to the girl. Luca would say that it's like riding a horse. You don't control each step of that horse. You just go along with it. You're still in control of it. You can stop, block, redirect, pull, but you go along with it. So rider, my lady partner, is my horse. I'm going along for the ride. And so Luca changed my mind. He said it's okay to follow. It's okay. Up until then, I thought dancing was exact science. It was 3/8 of a turn there, half a turn this and that. No, it's not an exact science. It changes because of the traffic, because of the other couples on the floor, because today I'm a little stiff, I don't move as much, or my partner perhaps doesn't move as much. So it's okay to follow to follow gentlemen on the counts of 2 and 3. Ladies, it's expected that when we dance with you, you take that direction on that first count 1, and you execute whatever you understood, whatever you think it was. And let me explain something to you. When I lead someone into any step, the only time you can look down or perhaps talk to me, if we haven't danced for a while and if you can't feel my weight transfer from foot to foot, is right there. Before we start, you should ask me which foot. You should look down. Which foot should be free to dance? So let me tell this a little bit. So what we do as gentlemen and ladies, what is expected from you to do is on the first step to pick the man's direction. Based on the mechanic on the last lecture, if you remember, I signal which direction I'm going by pointing my foot to that direction unless it's forward. Those of you that saw yesterday's lecture, we know that if we're going to be going back, my foot points back. I don't go back from feet together. I point, and then perhaps I slide. That pointing creates space in my knees, which in return, it's filled from the knees of the forward-going person. So that's how you know which way I'm going. Back, or I point side, which means I'm going there. Or I keep my knees together and I bend them in your way, which literally kicks your knee out of the way, so you should point back. So on that very action in the beginning is how you understand which direction to take and how much to turn. You will turn. On the lowering action, you will detect rotation. The rotation is in the knees. For the gentleman, I don't want this to become too technical, but I will tell you that while we compress, we create rotation. Compressing is much like kneeing forward. Could be slightly left, could be slightly to the right. And over time, you will detect that. All my 5 points of connection will go along with it. So it will be, you will detect it if you look for it. And after you detect that lead on that first step one, you execute whatever you think you have initiated. Half natural, spin turns, step side together, anything. You can't be wrong. If you do what you felt, you're doing what follows for a reason. Okay, so we established that 1 belongs to the man, 2 and 3 belongs to you ladies. And I want you not to be afraid to dance. My job is to follow what I've led, and then on the following figure, I'll redirect you, should I have to. Right? Okay. I wanted to mention Paul Holmes a little bit today because he was very persistent. He gave me the right words to explain this. Something I've known, but I didn't know how to explain. The center balance and the timing on every step. Now, we've all been beginners, and we've seen beginners dance with wedding couples, perhaps, to put an image in your head, how when they were first introduced to a box step, they did the following. Or you've seen them or you've done it. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1. They step and they fall on each step because they were told step on 1, step on 2, step on 3. It doesn't look right, it's not right. Being on the foot as we dance turns out it's not quite all right. So it changed my perspective again on timing and dancing when I found out, when I understood with the help of Paul, that the beat, whatever it might be, 1, 2, 3, if we say something, something's happening, most likely it's a step. So if you do a box step again in waltz, 1, 2, 3, it turns out the beat is between feet. And that there is a difference between on the foot and completing a step. Planting your foot down, putting any amount of weight on the foot means you've committed to that step already. Now, if I twist it and if I turn, you'll see that I'm right between 2 feet. And that's where my timing should be, between feet, when I pass them. Try to, we're going to apply this again in a simple box step. I'll show it to you in other steps, half natural, perhaps spin turn. So let's try to do something like this. We're going to do a box step. We will compress and we'll take a forward step. And we will split our weight like a triangle. And this is the apex, and it's right in the middle. So this is where my count 1 should be. Here, I'll turn again. This is my count 1. There is a chance for you to check also if you're vertical, shoulders over hips. Perhaps none of this, none of that. It's just simply vertical. This is my count 1, between 2 feet. And I'll tell you why and why is this important in a minute. 1. If I were to take a side step, 1, 2 would be the same exact thing. Let me go back a little bit. 2 would be between 2 feet. I'm doing a simple reverse jump box step to the left. 2 between 2 feet. 3, because of the design of the step, I'm up on my toes, I close my feet. 3, and I lower the end of 3 by pointing back, which indicates which way I'm going, which invites the go. Which in return, once I've dropped and I've pointed, now the go needs to take that direction and make me go backside together. Or in other words, she needs to lead it. I'll not be afraid to dance. I'm still in charge. Let's do it again. We'll do a box step. Use a toilet paper should you have to. Stay vertical, arms up if you want to. And let's do a box step. 1. Stay there. Untwist. Make sure you're in the middle. Make sure you're not favoring your back leg. When you turn, you'll find out you are. Make sure you're split in the middle. 1. 2. Up on the toes. And split weighted. 2. 3. And drop down hand. And we'll do it again. 1. 2. 3. and 1 and 2 and 3 and I'll break it down a little furthermore. 1 between 2 feet. End of 1, the end of 1 is when I'm on my right foot. 2, I'm split weighted. 2 and I'm transferring weight over my left foot. 3, I close my feet. End of 3, I lower down. And we'll do it again. 1, split your weight, untwist, make sure you're in the middle. And 2, between 2 feet. And 3, close your feet, up on your toes, knees flexed. And drop your foot. Repeat, slide back. 1 and 2 and 3 and 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 1 and 2 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and look something like that. I've always noticed that the top couples, the really good couples, they look like they have a lot of time when they dance. They look almost late. They look like they're off music. It turned out they've been between 2 feet, and later on this was explained to me. I'm controlling myself not to give you too much information. We should keep it at that. And the fact that the timing is between 2 feet. We can perhaps apply it in some other step, but that'll be it. So how about we practice a little bit with the toilet paper, yet again. See if you can develop that feeling of being between 2 feet. Another reason, I forgot to mention this, another reason for you to be between 2 feet and not what we call attack the moving leg is because that way you're allowing your legs to swing. Imagine this is the apex of the triangle and these are my legs. You need to constantly be between 2 feet so that the legs can swing like a pendulum, back and forth. And that's exactly what happens. When I'm coming from a step, my leg swings. And at one point here, between 2 feet, I've allowed my leg to swing. Should I not have done that, I would have chopped my swing. I would have been short-paced. I wouldn't be able to move. So there's another reason for that. So I'll dance with you a little bit. Doing a box step, normal tempo, me being the girl, and I will shout. You can dance to my timing, you can dance to your own music, but we're splitting our weight between 2 feet. Courtesy of Paul. A day doesn't go by and not remembering him because it was so sudden that he passed away, and he's just turned 60. It's crazy. Yeah, sorry, this sidetracked me a little bit. He was a great guy. He cared a lot. He was passionate. Dancing was his life, and we're all gonna miss him. He was a great guy. So, anyways, let's split our weight. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 3 and 1 and 2 and 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 3 and 1, 2 and 3 and 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna get better as a lady dancer with you guys. So, just to remind you, it's important that you keep your arms steady in whatever position that might be. It's totally fine to do it with no toilet paper. It's totally fine to dance like you normally do. Not all of you compete at this high professional level. You know, being on the floor is, you know, and competing is, I look at it more as of a checkup of my progress. It's not a destination. I'm not going there to win the world championship. It's not the world championship. It's not the end of the world. I compete so that I can see where I stand under pressure with the lights on, with the costumes on, sweating it out, just to see what I look like, where am I as a dancer. So with that said, it's totally fine to dance like this. Especially if you primarily do showcases, if you're that's how you used to dance with your partner. Um, Dancing was like this for many years, up until I would say the 70s perhaps, or 80s, when it started changing and becoming higher and higher, and the man stretched his frame and the girl started creating more shape. But in the old days, they used to dance like that. And there's a footage on the Harvest Moon Ball website, that I created a movie about the history of the Harvest Moon Ball, and you'll see dancers there. But you can literally go online and Google 1945, or like in the 30s or in the 20s when they danced. It was very compact. It was all about something else, not athleticism, stretch, and to a degree where now it becomes grotesque. Um, in fact, tango used to be a Latin American dance, and it was so compact. Is still, obviously coming from Argentine tango. That's a nightclub dance. So, right. So dance what you're used to dancing. Just keep it consistent, because those 5 points of connection, they need to stay consistent with your partner. In other words, you can't, for example, move your arms around and drop them. That confuses the partner. Now he doesn't know, is she going down with the arm? Is she staying up with the elbow? Don't turn away from him either. Like, once you face the man, do not allow yourself, don't make it easy on yourself and turn around. I know it's restrictive, and I know that it feels like a prison, like you can't move, but it's consistent, and it's how much you should be moving. For example, I like to say that the perfect promenade position, for example, is when both man and lady look in the same direction. The girl changes her head from left to right to look in promenade, for example. The perfect promenade position is a closed position with the head to the right. And the feet, they're turned slightly diagonal apart, but really no change in the upper body. The feeling is as if she's still in closed position, except, of course, for the feet and the head to the right. Later on, as she moves, the body opens up and other things happen. But the consistency in which, the importance of this consistency is tremendous. And ladies, again, because your arms on top of the man's arms, you don't feel quite often how you rest them, how you relax a little bit, perhaps you forget. Perhaps the man begins to stiffen up and leads from his hands. That shouldn't really happen. His hand on your back is just there for assurance and to counterbalance when you spin. When you experience this centrifugal force pulling you apart, he holds you in. He's there to catch you in a case of emergency, but he's not really there to carry you. And it's another thing I learned over time. In the beginning, I was a squeezer a little bit. I want these videos to be not so much like lectures. I want them to be, I think they call them blogging. It's not planned. When people have a question, they should type it there in the comment section, so I'll see it. I'm open to any suggestions. We don't know for how much longer we're going to be doing this. I'm not going to be buying some special equipment. I'll be using my miserable camera here on my laptop. If it's good enough for you to see my silhouette and hear my voice, then that's enough. If this goes beyond April, then we'll think about it. Perhaps hopefully in the beginning of May they'll let us all go back to our normal lives. I'm open to ideas for what we should talk about at 6 o'clock. I'm open to ideas. Should we be doing one or two classes a day? It's difficult to commit with, although we're trapped at home, there's so much to do and other things. It's difficult to commit for weeks to do it twice a day. For Alex, Olga, and me, perhaps once a day, it's doable. What time of the day would that be if you prefer? Um, yeah, then just let me know any questions you should have. I did want to expand a little bit on lead and follow. There's so much to talk about there. I know, ladies, it's very nerve-wracking for you to follow in general. The man always is unhappy what you do and how you do, and we can talk about lead and follow. We can also talk a little bit about balance in general, with that center balance, with splitting our weight on the beat, with the triangle of the legs. We can talk about that as well. Um, Hold on to the toilet paper and dance with cups of water, should you prefer. That's about it. Let me know if you have any questions. Uh, I I have no way. I'm reading through my comments. I think Dina has something to say. She says, how do you create proper amount of compression at the same time? At the same time with your partner, I'm assuming you mean. So you are limited, both of you, by the speed of the dance. We talked a little bit about it yesterday. If it's Viennese waltz, it's very fast. If it's waltz, it's slower, so you have time to go up and down. Viennese doesn't give you all that much time, a quick step. So that's the first limitation. The second one is if your question is how to know how much the partner rises and falls, this comes over time. This is something you practice. This is something you should, with your partner, perhaps rock from foot to foot, try to get used to the way he or she moves, how much he or she rises. And much like driving a car, you sort of need to see how fast the car accelerates or how it brakes and how it steers. But you learn it. You use your other senses. You even use your peripheral vision to keep an eye on him when he goes up and down. You learn. There's no right and wrong. Generally speaking, the more we get into our legs, the more we lower. As after we rise, the more we lower, the more power we have in our legs. The more I compress, the further I can jump. And again, how much down do we go really depends on our abilities, whether our knees are holding up, but also the timing of the music. So that's that. Anything else that comes to mind? Vlogging is an unusual thing, and I want to stay away from the lecture form for all this. So that's why I would appreciate if you type comments. It kind of gives me an idea which way, what did you pick up, what questions you might have, so I can expand on them in the future. Well, I'm gonna let you all go before I see you again at 6 o'clock. I'm still deciding on what to teach you at 6 o'clock. I might actually have Jessica here with me to demonstrate something with you. And just to show you that if an 8-year-old can do it, or 9-year-old can do it, then so should you. She has to do some school work in the morning, so now was not the time, but perhaps at 6 o'clock. But anyways, I'm still thinking of what to talk about at 6 o'clock. Lead and follow, we can expand on this. We can go over the mechanics once again, the position of the lady. Perhaps I could explain and remind you how to take proper position. I'll go beyond the 11 o'clock thing with the head. I can talk to you about how we create rotation, what directions we face. So that might be useful for you. So have a nice day, and I'll see you later at 6 o'clock. Thank you.